March 18, 1925. The day began like any other across the American Midwest. The morning sun shined over farms, small towns, and busy storefronts. Children laughed as they walked to school. Factory workers started their shifts, and farmers worked peacefully in their fields. To everyone on the ground, it was an entirely ordinary spring day. But far above these quiet streets, massive atmospheric forces were gathering unseen. This map shows the specific conditions taking shape high in the sky. Warm, humid air rushing northward from the Gulf of Mexico was directly colliding with cold, dry air plunging south from Canada. This specific collision over the heart of the Midwest created a massive pocket of atmospheric instability. The morning's peace ended as invisible forces gathered strength high above the Missouri landscape. Around 1 p.m. near Ellington, Missouri, a funnel touched the ground. At first glance, it appeared small and relatively harmless, but within minutes, it mutated. The tornado absorbed tons of dirt and widened into a massive, churning wall of blackness stretching across the horizon. Because it lacked the classic funnel shape, early victims failed to recognize it as a tornado until it was too late. From a distance, it looked more like a giant, moving mountain of dark clouds. Racing northeast at incredible speed, the storm began its path of destruction, instantly obliterating the Missouri communities of Annapolis, Beale, and Frona. In 1925, warning systems were non-existent. Safety depended entirely on spotting a funnel in the distance and reacting. Because this storm moved at 60 miles per hour and looked more like a dark fog bank than a tornado, residents in its path had no reason to seek shelter before their walls began to collapse. Typically, wide bodies of water disrupt a tornado circulation, but as this storm crossed the Mississippi River, it completely defied natural meteorological limits and maintained its catastrophic strength. Gorham, Illinois was the first major casualty on the other side of the river. The town was completely flattened, with entire blocks collapsing and many residents losing their lives instantly. The danger quickly escalated. The massive vortex kept moving forward without pausing, bearing down directly on the densely populated city of Murfreesboro. Crossing the Mississippi River without losing intensity marked a shift in the disaster scale. The storm maintained its path through the river valley and moved directly into the street grids of major population centers. As the vortex swallowed Murfreesboro, chaos erupted. Brick businesses, entire neighborhoods, and heavily populated schools collapsed simultaneously beneath clouds of debris. When the storm finally cleared the city limits, 234 people were dead. To this day, it remains the deadliest tornado strike ever recorded in a single American town. But the system continued its march directly into West Frankfort. Here, it carried enough physical force to rip apart heavy coal mining infrastructure and wipe out entire communities. Witnesses described seeing heavy machinery and massive railroad cars tossed through the air like toys. The sheer death toll in Murfreesboro and the twisted infrastructure in West Frankfort proved this storm possessed an unmatched combination of extreme lethality and sustained physical power. As we track the path on this map, the storm crosses into Indiana, nearly erasing Griffin and devastating Princeton. Zooming out, the unbroken red line stretching across Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana defies limits. It traveled continuously for 219 miles. Finally, around 4:30 p.m. near Petersburg, Indiana, the storm's energy began to starve. The roaring winds slowly faded, the heavy darkness finally lifted, and the massive cloud structures began breaking apart. After an uninterrupted 3.5-hour reign of terror, the violent forces that birthed the monster simply ran out of fuel, ending its run. As night fell across the Midwest, survivors were left digging through the rubble by lantern light, while fires burned among the desolate wreckage. Local infrastructure completely failed. With communication lines physically severed, the rest of the nation was totally blind to the massive disaster unfolding in the dark. When officials finally counted the losses the next morning, the statistics shocked the country. At least 695 dead, over 2,000 injured, and thousands more left completely homeless. More than a century later, the tri-state tornado remains the deadliest and longest-lasting tornado strike in American history. The 1925 disaster stands as a permanent reminder of nature's raw physical power, and the profound fragility of human life in the path of sudden catastrophe.